Guten
Wow.
Tag.
How exciting.
What, the jingle?
Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting jingle for a hat chat. Thanks for joining us. It's episode 20.
20, a big 2-0.
Or 20,
Venti.
if you wish. Is
20
that Italian?
means 20. Yes, you're right.
Yes. So thank you to
Billy
Bridge
Billy Bridge.
for the bingle there. It wasn't, however, bottles.
It was
so
not
I'm
glass bottles.
actually kind of livid
Yeah, I'm pissed
that
off.
no one has sent in the bottles.
But who
I
are
realise
you?
it would have taken some time, maybe, a day.
What's your goddamn name?
My name is Ross Hornby. Thank you. Sorry, I
My name is Chris
got ahead
Trott.
of myself.
My name's Alex Smith, and we'll be taking you through the next hour. Today's subjects range from things like Dutch people living underground, fearing the end of the world, and we released a sketch.
And why isn't this in VR?
Nice.
Where do you think
Smart.
people are listening to this? Where do you think
In a
people?
bunker in the Netherlands somewhere.
Yeah, do you think so?
I hope
They're
so.
whacking on podcasts.
How
and
have we
just-
got internet?
Imagine what's do you reckon
What?
the
You
In a bunker.
well, you might have one.
That sounds like a
Wi-Fi, innit?
compromised
Got some
hole.
That would be the
Wi-Fi?
best.
That's a compromised hole somewhere.
well?
Um,
And if
So-
Wi-Fi can get through, you don't have a good bunker.
I mean, we've spoken about Whitehorse before. Obviously, we've got a lot of followers in
Huge fans.
Whitehorse in
Yeah.
the Yukon.
in Canada.
But it is interesting to think that at some point this podcast might be listened to in somewhere quite unusual.
like,
Imagine if an
a
astronaut-
Russian submarine.
Yeah, Russian submarine,
yeah,
astronaut.
An astronaut, that'd be nice. Do you
Yeah.
think, I don't think it'll go that
On an
far.
astronaut or an astronaut watching?
An astronaut listening.
Anyone could just stand on an astronaut
Mm.
on Earth and watch it.
I feel like astronauts might be
Not on an astronaut.
Almost
I didn't say on an astronaut.
on an astronaut. What does that even mean?
It means
You're
like
saying
standing on a person who's an astronaut.
Places
right.
we could do it. And you said an astronaut.
An astronaut might listen to it in space.
Yeah, that's true.
On the ISS.
Right.
Cool. But I don't think that's happening. I don't think
No.
anyone with any kind of real intelligence is listening to us. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
I know that's.
Jeez, you just
But we're the ones more.
In-
It's because of us.
Just offended our entire audience.
I know. But we're also. Well, I think we're lower than our audience. So that's the thing.
So we're almost like,
Yeah.
look at these guys. Like Big Brother.
we're like
Three Stooges.
we're the seagulls
Dum,
at
dum,
a
dum.
landfill. Like we're laughing at like the mess that like other people have created. That's how dumb we are.
Mhm, mhm.
We're just eating trash.
And what are the audience?
Three dumb guys. They're just.
They're the people filling up the landfill.
Yeah, they're trying to cover us in.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're there just
Yeah.
three angry seagulls. Seagulls keep pecking holes in the roof of my building. You know that?
That's really...
So there's like a glass top to my building, and
Do you have a
The
glass
seals. You mean
roof?
like the rubber?
yeah,
the
there's
rubber
a glass
seals.
roof in the atrium, the
This
centre
is
bit.
an apartment block.
So
This
that-
isn't a this
It's
isn't
not
a
just
house
my
with
house.
a glass
It's
roof.
just solid glass, like Willy Wonka in a chocolate factory.
I mean,
But it's like individual.
very
So
grand
yeah,
design.
so in the centre, like bit where you walk out from the flats, there's a big centre bit in the middle, and the roof is glass. Like there's like a glass.
Yeah, it looks like a dystopic prison.
It does. It looks like a prison. So imagine a prison. Imagine the space in between, in the middle of a prison. At the top, instead of a reinforced steel grid, like I'm sure you get in prisons, there's a glass roof. But seagulls keep pecking holes in it, like literal holes, and then just the floor inside of our building is just constantly slightly wet because.
what do you mean the seals of it? The rubber seals?
No,
Or
no,
like
no.
It's actually through the glass.
The actual center of the glass, right? I wonder whether it's
How's
some
it not shattering through?
It's like
well,
Jumanji shit.
I think it's probably some sort of like plasticized glass, like it might even be like acrylic. I don't know, but like they've been
Just wet tissue
they've
paper.
been smashing holes in it, like literally like 50p holes, right? I don't know why. I don't know what. Once they've made the hole,
I'm
what-
more scared about once they get through. These fuckers have just broken through glass.
Yeah, but there was a man yesterday checking for holes, trying to find out where the holes were, and the way he was doing it, he had a big bucket of water,
Nice.
and he was just chucking it over the roof
Yeah, it
and
makes
seeing
sense.
where it came through. And there was another
Wow.
man inside going,
Yep.
"Yeah,
Wet.
Yeah, I'm getting wet." I was just like,
From the very bottom.
right at the bottom.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ, it's quite tall.
There's got to be a better way than doing that, right?
I mean, that's how you would find it in like a tire, isn't it? A puncture.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, there you go.
What about
Crazy seagulls?
Yeah, I guess it's tough.
So that's us.
What if you
Yeah.
smoked the whole area and then
Look for smoke trails.
shined a big light and see where the trails go through?
Yeah.
But it's all glass.
I mean, maybe we can do that afterwards. We've already made the whole fucking building soaking wet. Let's smoke her up as well,
it's all glass.
Sounds
though.
like some weak glass. But you know what they say about people who live in glass houses?
What's that?
They get really hot.
It is warm. Yeah. I'll give you that.
In the prison.
It's too warm. Never turn the heating on, which is lovely for the bills, but fuck me in the summer.
Seagulls are a menace.
Yeah, and then they're not vermin either. They're not classed as vermin. You can't shoot them or anything like that.
You can't stomp them down. We've been through this as well.
You can't stomp a seagull.
No.
I mean, to be fair,
he got fined. Although he did kind of get away with it, really. I mean, the fine wasn't that much, and
Worth it. It's like
in a way,
pay-per-view.
if you really hate seagulls, sure, maybe that is worth it.
there was a bird
Could you eat
found.
seagull meat? Would you eat seagull?
I mean, I would.
Or pigeon? You don't. I mean, loads of people like pigeon, don't they?
Yeah, it depends
It's
on
not
the
necessarily
pigeon
just
though.
a classic wood pigeon.
Well, no, wood pigeon you can eat.
Yeah.
The pigeons you get in cities, I don't think are wood pigeons. I
Trash
think
pigeons.
they're trash pigeons. So there was actually, I saw an article about this. Mr. Cocky the cockatoo survives being shot 5 times in Australia.
Wow.
So
How big is a cockatoo really? I mean, it's not that big to get shot 5 times. You've covered a lot of ground there.
some cockatoos are bigger. So I don't
Yeah.
know whether there are different kinds. I'm
Oh,
guessing
okay.
there are, but this cockatoo is about this size.
Yeah.
And it was
Shot 5 times.
A cockatoo is being nursed back to health in Australia after being shot 5 times with air guns. But I mean, air guns still kill things.
Okay,
you
through
know?
it.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, it'll pop right through that little bird.
But yeah, he
Unless it's like the Matrix style, they're just dodging. But I'm guessing they've got X-rays there. Is that what they have?
yeah. So there's an X-ray.
Is it dead? Is it still alive?
No, it's fine. They've nursed him back to health. But
Wow.
they call him Mr. Cocky, but I really think they should call him like 50 Cent. You know, like 50 Cent got shot like 9
Yeah.
times. Like
He's fine.
Maybe they don't like 50 Cent.
maybe they don't like.
I
50
feel like
Cent.
you wouldn't want to.
You wouldn't want to name a
No.
cockatoo after 50 Cent.
Not really, no.
Is that because the cockatoo's white? Is that what you're implying?
No, I just don't think I'd want to call anything 50 Cent.
No.
No.
Fiddy instead.
Fiddy could work.
Fiddy,
Sure.
Fiddy the
Okay.
cockatoo.
Yeah.
Who else has been shot loads of times and survived? I'm running out of people there. I don't
Why am
really
I
know.
only thinking of rappers?
Most of them, yeah.
No, they mainly get shot.
Most of the other ones are dead. You get shot a load of times. More often than not, you'll die.
Eventually will.
Somebody
Yeah.
shot the shit out of Rick Ross's car last year or the year before. Like he was just driving through like some.
Would you call the cockatoo Rick Ross's car?
What?
Rick Ross's car. That's what you could.
What
should
would I
call
call
the
a cockatoo Rick
Yeah.
Ross's car?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'd found one that had been shot 5 times and survived, maybe I'd probably soon call him Fiddy. Anyway, that was that. But yeah, this news about this is something I really wanted to bring up because I feel like we could really give people some insight here.
And it's a good link from Seagulls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dutch family waiting for the end of time found in secret room. So a family who spent 9 years on a farm waiting for
9 years.
waiting for the end of time have been discovered by police in the Netherlands after one of them turned up at a local pub. Now, a man of 58 and 6 young adults aged between 18 and 25 were living on a farm in the Netherlands. Quite nice, out in the middle of nowhere, really. Trees surrounding it. They had a nice gardens, and I'm guessing they were growing their own vegetables and stuff. But in 9 years, only person the neighbours ever saw was the man, who, funnily enough, was named Joseph. It's almost like people named Joseph like building bunkers.
Are you referring to Fritzl?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fritzl's Dungeons.
Wait. So, were they imprisoned, or were they there by choice because of fear, or because they wanted to?
Well, it's not really clear at the moment. It says we found 6 people living in a small space in the house which could be locked, but wasn't a basement and wasn't locked at the time. According to the family, he's the father of the 6 children. It was not clear
6.
whether they've been there voluntarily. The eldest son was not there at the time. But yeah, like it's not clear. So
So what's the story?
the reason they got found out is the story is
that they were underground.
I mean, you can't live like that.
well, sure.
Well, they did.
None of the
9
kids
years.
have been to school. So the oldest son, I think it's the eldest son, he turned up at a pub nearby, ordered 5 pints, drank all of them, right, and then started speaking to the barman and said, "Yeah, we've been living in a basement for 9 years." He had he'd never been to a hairdresser, so really long hair, really long beard, and yeah, he hadn't been to school. So I imagine he's either been homeschooled poorly, by the sounds of things, or is largely quite uneducated.
But it's not their entire lives in that bunker. So there was a period of time where they were just in the house.
Well,
Yeah.
how old is this guy?
At
So
some
he's obviously-
point.
They're between 18 and 25. So yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Up until probably
They were like 11. as the
early teens.
youngest.
I mean, 25 minus 9 is
18 minus 9 is 11. And then
well, he's 25.
What if it was
Yeah,
like
so 15.
a
16,
grand design
yeah.
that went wrong, and all they did was build the footings and then just left it there, and they said, "All right, kids, we're moving in."
You got to help build this house above us.
Yeah. But they're like, "Oh fuck it, we don't have the funds for this. Let's
Just stay in the
enjoy-
bunker.
Let's just stay in the bunker part."
We've just been making mud walls.
Yeah,
Like,
we'll
how-
just build all the mud walls, and actually, I got no money for the rest of it, so this is it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. So there was a hidden staircase behind a cupboard that went down to the room where they were living, right? So there's an upper area. It's a normal house up above.
I always like secret rooms.
I know.
But not for this use.
But this is what I was going to talk about. I don't know, that,
Yeah, well-
there's clearly some human implications here that we'll gloss over. But for the sake of entertainment,
Yeah.
if you had to make like,
A secret room.
even more than that, like the ultimate like bug out building, like the world is ending, time is ending. I mean, waiting until the end of time seems a little bit pointless, doesn't it? Like, why wait until the end of time?
Maybe
It'll just happen.
There's got to be a reason they stayed in the bunker, right? Like, maybe it's a slow death if you stay on the surface or something.
Maybe.
What about if you built like maybe a giant circle, and there were doors like door to door, all the way around, and only like the secret entrances, but otherwise it just leads you loops you back around to the other doors. So it's
Right.
like one
I
of
thought
those
you were gonna
comedies
trap
where
them.
like you see people crossing and stuff.
How the hell would that work?
Well, because only the one which
So you can access. You got a circular building,
yeah,
right?
like a rotunda
But then there's doors all the way on the outsides.
on the inside. Yeah, so you go in.
Wait, so there's two layers.
So let's
to the
say
walls.
let's say you go downstairs, like you're going down a basement.
Crazy.
Open the door.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm in a circular room.
Right.
This is great. But there are doors literally all the way around.
You just go
Let's
back
say
out the door.
15 doors all the way around.
Crazy.
You go back out the door you came in.
There's
Well, yeah, that's the way you
15
can get out. Yeah.
So you go and spin around.
That'll be a red door. We'll call that one a red door. That's your exit. That's your.
So there's 7.5 pathways
Mhm.
or 7 pathways leading back to another door,
Yeah.
and one of them leads out
Why 7?
because 15
They're
divided by
linked to
2, and there's 2 doors.
Well, one will lead to the rest of the
start and
bunker.
exit.
15. Where did 15 come from?
No,
He said 15 doors, and half of that is 7.5.
Right.
So there's 7 pathways because they loop back
I was going to
around.
say you're going to need to create like a tier system. So
Yeah.
you got the initial
Yeah.
circle of
It's going to be a
doors.
crazy noodle fest.
look.
And then the outside is going
It's going to be messed
nuts.
up. So you'll be walking down these corridors going, I'm not sure where I am. So it'll be like a maze.
So you have
But
one that's horizontal, right, that loops around.
Mhm.
Then the next
maybe
one has to go
maybe every
over
single
that.
one has to link to another door, but
That's
there's
what-
also a secret passageway within those passageways
Oh my
that only
God.
you could figure
So
out.
there's a second.
There's a second
Is it
layer.
underground as well?
Yeah, underground.
So
Definitely.
that way,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds hellish. It sounds like every caver's worst nightmare.
I would have gone to, what's his name that you keep bringing up?
What?
Kevin McLeod.
I would have gone to McLeod.
Well, I
for
wouldn't go
this,
to him now.
but he's
Why
gone
not?
bankrupt.
Yeah, he's not gone bankrupt.
His
yet.
investments.
His investments fell
bankrupt.
through essentially, and he may have to just tell his investors that he can't pay him back anything for
Okay.
several projects that he's been working on.
What's he been working on? I didn't know he still
Yeah,
does
he-
stuff.
he-
I thought he was just a host.
he
Part
builds
of the
houses.
show.
He builds houses.
Part of the show, I think it was, that he invested in people on the show. And
Oh,
then
really?
he can't fulfill his investments.
That's
Well, they fell
really
under.
shit.
So during the
make him look
show,
very
he
good.
goes, "Hey, you want some more money?
It's
I'll
kind of like
invest."
Dragon's Den when they invest in it, and then you find out later that that investment fell through. I
Is that
guess.
it? Because it was on the BBC, wasn't it? Let me,
Well, yeah, let's get the actual facts.
I don't want to start.
No,
just-
no. Let's keep guessing.
No. This
Back
was
to the noodle
this
room.
guesswork's really
Yeah.
fun.
That's
like
nuts.
I think living one thing I really want, hopefully I attain in my lifetime, is a house that's like totally off grid. Like like everything is self-sufficient.
yeah.
So
That'd
grow
be
your own
cool.
vegetables.
That's a lot
Obviously,
of effort,
like
isn't it?
food and stuff. I might still order.
It's easy to do in Minecraft.
But like power, energy. So things like solar, wind, geothermal. Like hell, if I could have a small nuclear fusion reactor, I'd be happy as Larry.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
Imagine that.
jeez.
Imagine having a small like a micro nuclear facility in your house. That'd be dope.
Be a lot of power.
It'd be I mean, I feel like you'd have to understand some of the basics of.
Just get like Apple's version of it. Like at
Right.
a certain point.
Just literally get the Iron Man style reactors.
Yeah, because I was looking at
I
I
think
was
we'd
looking
be
at
alright
this
with
thing.
solar power.
You think so?
I don't
might
think
be,
we
yeah.
need like nuclear.
Depends.
Yeah, but
what
imagine
you're
like
running.
technology of the future. Exactly. I mean, you could charge a car with it.
Hmm.
I think
Like
there's enough power in the sun. I think we're just going to improve our solar panels.
that would be great.
Or if you have the entire house built out of solar panels.
See, then you've got the issue of if you come under attack,
The dome, you can call it. Make a dome.
the mega dome.
Just call it a mega dome. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't make dome-shaped solar panels. They have to be flat.
They don't have
I guess
to
so.
be.
It depends. You could. I mean,
Not
it
in the
doesn't have to be
future.
flat. They could all be, like glass panels essentially. But
It's a form.
it's
so
big
less-
enough. It's big enough that it looks round.
You literally have
Right.
the glass house that
God,
we
that
started
is-
off with.
That's ambitious.
I don't want glass, and I don't want to. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if you sealed it inside a dome, you could also purify the air,
Yeah.
which would be pretty dope.
Just live in a Tesla.
But I'm
Mm.
But I'm talking. Oh
Don't
man,
really live in a
that's when
Tesla.
Tesla brings out or another brand with the similar ambitions to
RV.
Tesla, an RV. Like an RV will be
Or a semi.
so cool. I mean, they're bringing that out, aren't they?
Yeah. Semi pickup. That'd be awesome.
An RV, I mean, yeah.
Like a fully integrated RV
Moving
that
home, that's
everything's
That would be
powered via solar. Like, you'd have a small fuel generator on board.
Bear in mind that people get RVs because they're like a cheaper alternative to kind of
living.
certain holidays and stuff, right?
I think
and
they
also
also
you can
get them
travel and you can all
because-
sleep in them and
yeah.
stuff. Like, I feel like the cost of an electric RV would probably not be worth.
Some
Yeah.
people have it
worth
as a
it, but-
luxury though.
True.
Yeah, like the big fuckers. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
And they
Like a
just,
couple of $100,000.
Yeah.
You know, they
I
love them in
wanna-
the
Yeah,
States.
they're almost like tour buses, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a rich family that's like, I want to take this luxury living on the
Yeah.
road with me.
Yeah.
With a small boat on the
It's
back.
like a super yacht, but for the land.
Yeah.
yeah,
land yacht.
Yeah,
A
Let's go
land
with land
yacht.
yacht.
yeah.
Uh,
Like that Simpsons episode where I think Flanders gets a crazy one, and then Homer decides to get an even bigger one. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's RV central.
That's not real, though.
No, but we had a shit RV, so I think that's all I'm.
Our RV
It was
was
great.
big.
It was big, but it's just driving. It was so rattly, and it
was a
did
new
feel
one as
like
well.
a mobile home. Just
It's squeaky.
it is a mobile
Oh,
home.
everything
wheels.
rattled. Do you remember how loud it was just
They
driving
just
down
had
the
loose
motorway?
cutlery and crockery in there as well.
All the way down the fucking motorway.
Didn't have like a 6-liter
Also,
engine
you
as
were-
well.
Yeah.
It's like a 6-liter engine. Just
You used
bombing
that
it.
bed a lot while we were driving as well.
Which one? The one in the back. I
Yeah,
had to
that's
take.
right. Yeah, yeah.
That was when we were going to
That one
LA.
with
I
them.
only slept in it once.
I rolled around a
Yeah.
lot. You're not supposed to.
No,
And
you're
then,
not supposed to. Don't do
And then a
that.
bloody pot of like cayenne pepper or paprika.
Oh, that went
Just-
everywhere.
just went-
I was around the. Yeah, I was in the
Everywhere.
kitchen when that happened. I was like, it just rolled off. GoPro fell off the side.
super like fine particulate
Yeah.
paprika.
Imagine that.
It's
though.
everywhere, guys.
In the future, you have this super high-end RV that's like nuclear proof,
Mhm.
and it's fucking something that you just left out that kills you inside. 'Cause
Well,
you just like swerve a little bit.
Like an isotope just spilling
Yeah,
out.
it's like, shit.
Oh wow, we've just been exposed to a serious amount of radiation.
And
you
we're
can't
locked in.
you can't feel it now, but we got maybe like 2 weeks max.
Security
God.
system triggered, and we'd actually been locked in. It's in shutdown.
You just start melting,
Yeah, that would suck.
like in Chernobyl.
But I'd have an RV like that,
Yep.
which then drives up to a hidden bunker door,
Oh,
which seals
Yes.
the bottom of the RV, and it's an elevator down
Ah.
into it.
Okay, yeah.
So you don't actually go outside ever.
Mm-hmm.
God
Incredible.
damn it, billionaires! Why aren't you doing cool shit like this?
They might be though. They wouldn't tell you, would they?
Yeah,
Why would
tell
they?
you.
You wouldn't. I mean, they say when they do the calculations for Forbes' richest list, essentially they still don't know all of
Yeah,
their worth
'cause-
because they hide so much of their money.
Yeah,
Mm.
through multiple.
That essentially it could
companies.
just be you know scratching the surface.
What's the name of that thing? Like they hide it in different like fake companies.
I don't
So it's like the paper
Do you mean
trails.
do you
completely
mean like
lost.
as in just they have it in like the Cayman Islands and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
offshore
But, like,
banking.
even transactions are dealt through like loads of ghosts.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, they would hire like one person who would live on the islands and stuff that they're
That
hiding their
counts,
money,
yeah.
and then they're basically like kind of.
Well,
like
it's
a
just an office
carer
that
of
like deals
cash.
with all of the transactions, right? And then they
Yeah.
just say that they're employed by whatever.
Speaking of
Crazy.
ludicrous
Yeah.
money, I saw today that ever heard of El Chapo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
One of his sons,
Which means the chap.
the chap, El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Which bizarrely isn't a YouTube channel where a person speaks with an incredibly English accent, which it really does sound like. One of his sons, so he's in prison or was in prison or something. He keeps on breaking out, or I don't know what's going on. He's a Mexican drug lord, like he's a modern Pablo Escobar.
Nice.
And Pablo Escobar, at one point, his cartel was generating like something ridiculous, like 60 billion a year or something like that in profit. So these places are like richer than most countries, these cartels, these big ones anyway. And so recently they've been trying to crack down on it. So they were doing some stops. They were stopping suspicious cars coming through these police. And it turns out one of El Chapo's sons was in the car, and they recognized him and they tried to get him. Moments later, about like 8 pickup trucks turn up, and it's all these guys in body armor and assault rifles.
Private military.
That's the cartel. Yeah, so the cartel guys turn up, have a massive shootout with the police. There's like fuel trucks on fire,
It's nuts,
everything. The police then have to withdraw because people are getting shot, there are bodies on the floor, things are on fire. This is the middle of the day on a public street. So they like pull back to stop it, and then the cartel guys just drive off. But like,
When you have
nuts.
enough money to have essentially an army
Yeah.
that can beat the government's funded
Yeah.
authorities, you've just yeah.
But
Is that
that's essentially the story of South America, though.
You almost say like
crazy.
that's the dream.
It's not the dream. It's just that's insanity.
insane,
where it's like that's a broken.
But I think we're so
yeah.
used to having like authorities having
knowing
ultimate
that that's
power.
that's the top end. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like but
no
in
one's gonna beat
South
them.
America, because it's had such a tumultuous past, I don't think that any government has really got to a position where they have that ultimate power. Like
It's
it still
crazy,
is.
Man.
It still is somewhat lawless.
The bus is on
I
fire.
will add.
Yeah.
I will add the private military to my RV bunker.
Oh,
setup,
okay.
though. Just on the top.
like an entourage, or literally on top of it.
Just
like,
on
as
top. Make sure no one
turret.
gets in.
Do you think it's possible to exist in a apocalyptic setting without using weaponry?
Probably not.
You
Because
think
the thing
so?
is, somebody who's like you say, like somebody who wants what you have will come and get it.
Yeah.
right?
Well, secrecy,
Essentially.
I guess, is the only way to protect
Yeah.
yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
hiding it under a mountain or something.
The only way to do it entirely off your own back is to build your own bunker, right? And let no one else
Or
know.
build
about
your own satellite bunker.
Yeah.
Th- You know, who the hell's going to get you up in space?
it. Yeah. Also, who's going to go to Venus?
You'd have to
So, Venus
Venus,
bunker.
of course, yeah,
Can't.
the gas
There's
giants.
no floor.
That's true. There's no floor.
But yeah, essentially you have to build a community of like-minded people, which I guess you could immediately do quite quickly, but then
That's civilization, though, isn't it?
yeah, but somebody else will come along and probably step that up a notch quite quickly. Like where what things you're not prepared to do, they'll
Exactly,
do.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
always going to be someone who's like, fuck it,
Willing
I'd
to
rather
escalate.
survive, so fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think humanity deserves a reset?
Deserves is.
Deserves.
I don't think deserves really comes into it.
You mean should it be
Like, we've
reset?
just
Which
taken this to
sounds
excess
very.
now.
Well, you say we. Like,
He's gone genocidal.
like there are some places.
Time to reset.
There are nations
Press the reset button.
As a whole,
that say pollute a lot less than us. There are nations that
no, humanity.
award a lot less than us. Yeah, but I don't think it's fair to judge humanity as a whole.
As one
because
unit.
You
like
judge
as a hive
cheetahs
mind.
and penguins as a whole, don't you?
yeah, but they're cunts.
It's unfair.
I hate
And
cheetahs.
and
Have you
penguins?
seen how their faces, cheetahs? They just look like smarmy pricks. Smarmy pricks of the savannah is what I
The
call them.
wildcat.
The wildcat cheetah. Yeah. Why do you
What-
think they call people who cheat cheaters? Because cheaters are dicks.
And they run away.
Nothing to do with the animal.
But,
saying
yeah, what
that-
were you saying?
Humanity as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to treat humanity as a whole, because
No.
look at what the British Empire's done. You know, over like the last like hundreds of so years. Like we not last 100 years, in the hundreds of years past, we really messed things up. We were
What-
really horrible to people. Like,
What good has
we deserve
humanity
worse.
brought to Earth
well, I don't think there's
that
any.
hasn't benefited anything other than humanity?
Oh, sorry, what good have cheaters brought to this earth?
Just keeps their own, you know?
So just keep them to yourself is what you want.
Yep, reset.
What would you do if you discovered that plants were actually conscious this entire time, like fully conscious?
There's
And
some
they just
evidence to
literally can't
suggest that
speak.
they do feel pain and things like that. But
Yeah.
whether they have
Is that based on like
consciousness-
reactions?
but
Yeah.
To their like if you
Yeah.
cut them or
consciousness test goes down to it compared to humans, and we're still delving into, you know, the mirror test
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and intelligence and things like that. This is also from that Netflix
Mhm.
show.
that's
Yeah.
But
fine.
also, like
I
a
watched
lot
that,
of
it's
it, a lot of our judgment of like what's considered intelligent is based off of studies that are from the human perspective, whereas there's things that are limited in the human capability that animals do differently and or better. For example, the sense of smell and the way dogs recognize other dogs and communicate is not through the human five senses. It's like enhanced through smell and things like that, which we haven't used as a test for intelligence.
Yeah.
Like recognizing yourself in a mirror, dogs may not be able to do that, but they might recognize their own odor, for example.
Yeah, and how to test is a big part of science.
Yeah.
Like you know, like how
Yeah.
do you measure something? Was something tested? It's just as important as the results in
Yeah.
science. So yeah, what was really cool about that program you're talking about, I didn't realize elephants have a stronger sense of smell than dogs. You know this?
Oh really?
So
Wow, I
Trunk
didn't
in
know.
it.
It's that trunk. Elephants have something like 50 times more powerful sense of smell. So a dog's sense of smell is 10,000 times more sensitive than ours, and an elephant's sense of smell is 50 times more sensitive than a dog's.
Also, their neuron connection, the size of their brain, and
Yeah, they've got massive brains. Elephants have bigger brains than we do.
yeah,
But that isn't necessarily a show of intelligence. It's
No.
about, but yeah, that's super interesting. Again, that's Netflix explained, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I have to watch that. I went
The
down
mind
a
explained.
rabbit
The
hole
mind
of
explained.
brain surgeries, and where they were
Yeah.
slicing up brains and like kind of looking at them, because ultimately it's just a bit of mess.
Bit of
you
meat,
know,
innit?
it's a bit of meat, and it's just like
meat. On the
the
surface
fact
of
that
it,
it controls
everything.
Would you eat
complex
human brain?
things.
It'd be a delicacy.
If I knew that it would make me stronger. I would eat as many as possible. No, I don't know if I would. I feel like that's. I mean, to be fair, it looked like I said before, it looked like a Billy Bear ham because it had like the membrane and it looked like there's another layer. And
if you don't know what a Billy Bear ham is, Google it to start with. But it's something that's sold in supermarkets in the UK.
Yeah,
the way they cut it was like a thick steak in terms of its cut. So
did it cut like a mushroom?
I didn't cut like a mushroom. No.
I feel like it's got the sponginess of a mushroom.
To be fair, they weren't hacking into it, but it's just
there's no blood. There are blood. There's blood there, right?
Well, yeah, there will be. Yeah,
they drain it.
There are
probably,
arteries and stuff.
If
yeah,
it's
drained.
like,
And Craig's brought up some pictures of Billy Bear ham for you to see if you.
It's reconstituted meat shaped to look like a bear.
Billy Bear ham's awful.
Somebody has
like spam.
voluntarily donated their brain. There's nothing wrong with him in particular. No particular diseases. No particular mental health issues. And somebody goes, this person donated it. Would you like to try a bit of brain, just a little bit?
No,
I probably would.
No?
I would.
Why not? Why not?
But I wouldn't like
Why would
the
you?
idea of it.
I don't know.
Because it's a one-off experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you'd probably eat animal brain more. Well, I don't know if I don't really want to eat any brain.
No?
Other than chicken brains, those are the best.
He loves chicken brain. Old chicken brain, we call him. He eats them like popcorn chicken.
Yeah, well, I mean, it probably is in most of KFC's food. Let's be honest.
So I mean, a lot of
other
places,
chicken shops also probably do the same.
So chicken hearts are eaten
chicken
a
brain,
lot.
chicken fry,
like chicken
hearts.
hearts.
Dime a dozen.
Dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Well, what got me thinking about the brain thing? Sorry to interrupt you there. Was literally because there are ways, obviously, you can connect it back. Well, as you put blood flows back through it and stuff. If they took your brain out,
is it plasticity?
Neuroplasticity. That's something else.
Yeah.
If you took your brain out and they could still kind of
rewire it,
activate it, as in like keep it going, like they can with certain other organs. Wouldn't that be what would you be? Do you think? Because you won't have eyes, you won't have any senses.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
you would just be a floating brain.
He's trying to do
but your living brain. So he's just trying to.
He's closing his eyes.
Now. I think that you would just have your memories and you'd swim around. It's like sensory
would you just
deprivation.
would it be like you're asleep? Do you think?
No.
Or would you be
senses,
consciously thinking in your brain?
Yeah, you would be. Yeah.
And then thinking, God, I can't see shit.
Well,
or I can't hear.
Phantom limb, don't you? When
it's like a sensory deprivation tank.
But then what if they were just testing on you? And they was like, it's just and then everyone has to leave the lab for some emergency, and you're just left alive like that
as a brain,
and it's still going.
You drive yourself insane, I'd assume.
You would just
because you'd be in complete sensory deprivation.
You'd be in like what I guess the equivalent in Inception would be the what do they call it? Limbo.
Yeah.
You'd just be in limbo essentially until
you're have a physical body either.
Well, Helen Keller famously couldn't hear and couldn't see, right? Yeah. And she still like wrote. There's some really interesting stuff she said about like I can't see, I can't hear, but that doesn't mean I can't like experience things. So,
but she experienced
she could still feel, right?
She she had smell.
I mean, that's
then lose every sense.
But that seems like hell to me. Like that's
that's trapped.
The embodiment of hell, and it's just like it's interesting that obviously there are like ethical laws on doing stuff with brains. I think so.
But the perception of the idea of like introspection. Like, the potential for introspection is pretty cool, I think. And like, what if it kicked you into a dream state and you were just lucidly dreaming like the whole time?
I guess you could take advantage of that.
Because lucid dreaming is great. It's
someone's
cool.
just like sprinkling LSD over your wet brain.
Yeah.
Without the physical demands of your body, so like being nutrition, like I guess you'd still need nutrition to the brain and everything, and a heart to pump it. So your brain would die without a heart, by the way. And lungs.
Yeah, but if they artificially could.
All right, so
keep
they
life
recreate
support.
those
oxygenated blood.
So you wouldn't need to have any physical demands on your body, so you could just sleep all the day.
And also, it would potentially live longer. Maybe it might not age in the same way.
Preserve your brain
because your body's not being fucked over from
all the shit you're putting in it.
Yeah,
of the diet and the drinking and the.
I imagine they've already done those tests, as in like they've probably done things
monkey
like
brain
that.
Stuff.
Yeah,
or
I mean, I still find it amazing that like people are still conscious when they do brain surgery and stuff, so they could figure out certain.
That was in the thing issues. Explained, or was it? But they had like voice recordings of dreams, not dreams, but they could trigger certain visuals to happen by poking at the brain in some ways or stimulating with electricity. It's like I see a thing now. It's crazy.
But because obviously I think that episode started with that musician who couldn't. So after she had to have brain surgery. And what was the brain surgery for? I can't remember now. She had to have 2 brain surgeries.
She wanted a second brain.
She just wanted to have a second brain. She was hungry for brains.
Just cut bits out at random.
But she couldn't understand. She suddenly couldn't understand language, English.
Right.
And she couldn't speak English.
Right.
So, and that was fucked up. So they had to have second surgery to counter that.
Wow.
But that's like that's amazing. It's
Cut
like,
the red cord.
God, she's. And then obviously, how do you communicate that with someone? Like other than I guess garbled language. If you're
like,
trying to say something you
yeah.
mean, but then you're like
You don't have any language.
yeah.
Yeah.
Brain surgery is fucking scary, man. It's so nuts.
Well, but we have to do it at some point.
No, well, I mean, you don't have to.
Well, there's going to be a point where in
might
order for
have to.
Hat Films to keep going, we have to do a video on
Just
us
do
doing
a
brain
live.
surgery.
Just okay. What if it's going
us
to brain
taking turns
surgery?
doing brain surgery on each other.
Yeah.
What to continue on from what you were saying about like imagine a brain just like taken out of
Yeah,
a
Futurama
body
style.
and,
Well, not
and
Futurama
maintained. Like imagine if. So let's say for a second, your heart stops. Right, your heart stops. You lose consciousness.
Oh, I need to do a heartbeat
For all intents and purposes, you've just died for a moment, but it's before like oxygen starvation happens in the brain, like all that sort of stuff. There's no real damage done. It's like a
Well,
right.
this can't be long between.
No, like I think oxygen. I think
It's like
damage
5
happens to the
minutes,
brain
isn't
in
it?
like 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get it out of your head, right? They cut everything off. Bam. Okay, we got like 30 seconds. They transfer it out. They put it onto a heart-lung machine. They put it onto all those things is needed to keep it like it would be in your body. Like they put it in some sort of warm gel to keep it like safe and stuff, right?
Is it scented?
It is scented. Lynx chocolate.
Lynx chocolate.
Yeah, it's
I
a
hate
weird
that
choice.
Links,
Or Axe chocolate if you're in the.
So yeah, so the
Americas.
brain is there,
Yeah.
and then bam, they reanimate the brain's running again. So for that moment, you were like this, you were experiencing things through your eyes, you're hearing everything,
It's like going to
and
sleep,
then
right?
bam, you fall asleep for a moment, and then you wake up, and your brain is now in this vat. You can no longer hear, you can no longer feel, you can no longer see, but in every other regard, you're alive.
I think for a long time your brain would just consider you asleep, right?
because there's, because
Or in
there's
a
no other
sleep state.
senses triggering anything.
Yeah.
But then would there
your
not be like?
motor neuron.
Would it not would your brain not go into overload trying to find those senses?
This is why
Essentially.
we have to
It's-
do
yeah,
that
it's-
surgery.
it's
It's
like
probably why
when
you have
it's-
phantom limb syndrome.
And then,
You
I mean,
feel-
could your brain kill itself in the sense that could it be working so hard, or electrons going all over the place that eventually it just kind of can't compute and
Maybe.
Could
I
go
don't know.
insane at least.
I think it's difficult to like physically hijack.
we're gonna have to test it.
We're
Craig,
gonna have to figure
Craig's here. Hey, Craig.
You down?
Yeah, I'm down for it.
Are you
yeah,
up
yeah.
for
Sounds
some
exciting.
experiments?
So we're going to take your brain out your body.
Yeah,
You're going to throw away your body,
yeah,
and your brain's going to be in a vat.
yeah. But I'll be the first in mankind, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then we're gonna
So-
blast you to Venus.
Yeah.
Can you name a high school after me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll see what
Craig's school.
we can do. We'll at least a bench.
At the very least, we'll get you a nice seat.
Yeah, a nice bench.
But like, so I just think
Some poles.
it's amazing. It's kind of mind blowing to think that every single thing that defines me, that defines you, when you come into work each day and you interact with that person, like 98% of everything you see is completely superput. You're really just dealing
just
with the
electrical
person.
signals.
You're just dealing with that brain, like
But then essentially,
a
yeah.
person's appearance. Obviously, we put a lot of pride on appearance for different social reasons, but like ultimately, we're all just brains being trundled around in these
Yeah.
waggly, wavy meat suits,
Yeah.
like
Meat mechs.
meat mech.
But in
So
a way,
you're a
meat
brain
mech.
pilot
Yeah.
in a meat mech body.
Right. Okay. So that's a
Why
robot.
is the mech
what
made
you've
of
just described as putting a brain transplant into a
Your
robot.
body is the,
No, no.
Your body's the mech. Your
Oh.
brain is the pilot.
I think
you're
meat-
piloting a mech body.
Meat mech makes it sound like the mech is made of meat.
It
Because
is.
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
So the
Like
mech
made
itself
like
is
a-
made of meat as well.
It's like that
whole
Lady
body,
Gaga
other
dress.
than the brain.
Yeah.
The brain's a pilot. And
Yeah.
You're piloting this meat sack.
Oh, I see. Right, I get you. Yeah. We are meat mechs. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
piloting
I
meat
guess
mech.
so.
We're organic meat mechs.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, I mean, there's a lot of subconscious thought in terms of your actions. Like, me with my hand
You
right
wouldn't
now
believe the
is literally
things-
entirely like I can
Oh,
do that
right.
whilst talking to you
Instinctive.
and like instinctive. But
Holy
is that
shit? That's amazing.
is that
How
to
are
do
you
with
doing
my
that?
like?
I have to think of every action.
Does the body you have
Raise right
define
arm,
some of those
open
limitations?
hand, close hand.
Yeah.
I
So
saw
if you
that.
had to think about it, everything would take so much longer.
That's what it's like learning when you
Right.
come back from a stroke.
Your brain rewires and
Yeah.
adapts. So if I assume,
That's what neuroplasticity is.
yeah, so I assume if there's less need for having to control your body, those neuron connections would either be like lost or just not utilized as much.
Yeah. So when a part of the brain dies during a stroke, like
They can reform.
you'll lose you'll lose the ability. So the neurons that previously controlled right arm movement
Or
have
speech,
have
for
died
example.
because of oxygen starvation. Because I'm
Yeah.
fairly sure a stroke is usually caused by a blood clot, which leads to certain parts of the brain not getting blood. Those parts die. That is
Yeah.
essentially
Yeah.
a stroke.
Yeah.
So you got a dead arm now, but if you do enough physio and enough practice, you can. Neuroplasticity means other parts of the brain will wire and build new neuron bridges to control that arm better again. which is amazing.
What are those toys where you have rods and magnetic balls on the end, and then you make like shapes out of it, like geometric shapes?
I know what you mean. I don't know the name of them.
I don't know. Connects?
That's like neurons.
No.
Yeah,
So
I think
imagine
of
like,
Connects.
it's not Connects because Connects don't use magnets,
they do
but
use
very
magnets, but
similar.
I like-
or like that bridge simulator game where you have to like
Polybridge.
make
Yeah.
a bridge
Polybridge, yeah.
Polybridge.
and sustain it
Yeah.
over a certain like. That's what your brain's doing. It's
Mhm.
reconnecting.
I found it interesting.
amazing.
I think it was in the same documentary about the use of like LSD and like or psilocybin as well,
Mhm.
and how it like almost reconnects various parts of your brain. And
Well, it
it
has
can
a
help people
physical
with
difference, does
depression.
it?
Well, it can have a positive difference for
So-
people who have like depression and stuff.
So just thinking differently, but with the stimulant,
Essentially,
you can create
yeah.
new neurons in your brain.
Essentially, I mean, I guess if you had a bad trip, it might not be so good, but
So
essentially explained that, and there was a really nice graphic of it, like kind of all these different connectors, and kind of normally on you're sober, everything's in a certain place, and then when your mind opens and it apparently reconnects
Like a flower.
various things that wouldn't previously connect, which is what people say
shit.
give you this trippy vibe, and yeah, can
Should we
be a
take LSD
positive
into a
difference for
handshake?
people with depression.
Take
which is
LSD into a
interesting.
handshake?
I'd be down for doing LSD.
It's illegal.
I've not had any.
It is legal, yeah. But
It's
this
illegal.
is the thing. Obviously, it's hard to test on and hard to prove all this stuff
Well,
without
people
full on.
microdose, don't they, in order to
Mhm.
get like that stimulation and that creative.
Apparently, yeah, microdosing it won't let you won't trip.
You won't trip,
So you
but
won't have any
you
kind
feel
of
sharper,
visions.
right?
But apparently, it improves
switched
some of
on.
your I think, there's a
Creative
good channel. That
thinking.
channel you what's it called? The Dutch
Drugs
channel?
Lab.
Drugs Lab, where
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do tests like that,
Remarkable.
which is really interesting to see kind of like the effects of some of these things, because there's a lot of scaremongering like
Well, shrooms
behind it all,
are
which
being
tested
for like improving depression and things like that, right?
What was that, sorry?
Shrooms.
Shrooms.
Like magic
And
mushrooms.
yeah.
Yeah, so psilocybin is the active ingredient in mushrooms.
I've been having chestnut mushrooms for ages and haven't had any
No
difference.
luck?
If anything, I feel
button
more.
mushrooms as well. I've been throwing them down
The
my gob.
secret is to stuff them up your ass.
Yeah,
That's what I've been trying. I got about
Right, okay,
18
yeah.
button
Enema.
mushrooms up my ass right now,
Nice.
and it's crowded. I'll tell you that.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, no, it is interesting because I think like they help you change your perspective. So I think, like you say, when you were saying when you're sober and when you're doing your regular day-to-day thing, your brain really does stay in its same sort of set. You know, when they call a mindset, right? So like that makes sense to me when you go and do new experiences, when you try new things, like that tends to be more stimulating, right? It can change your outlook. It's like, let's take an inner city kid and put him in the countryside and see how it changes their like lifestyle. Obviously there are other physical factors there, like better air, sunlight, all that sort of stuff as well,
There's
but
habits they have to reject and then adapt
Yeah.
to new ones, a new sensory.
I think with
information.
drug so CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is a really common way of helping mental health, in that it helps you to discover and work on new ways that your brain operates, or the new ways that you can rationalize things. I think drug assisted could be interesting because it almost forces your perceptions to change, right? Because it physically changes the way you perceive the world.
Yeah.
But like you says, like at the moment there's no structure to it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think it needs to come with a form of therapy to
Yeah.
like guide that
Yeah.
hallucination
But basically
in order to get the result you want.
Some people have
right?
gotten over like alcohol addiction, smoking.
What did it get you over?
I haven't had it, so I don't know.
I've tried truffles and it was it wasn't very fun.
What,
Do you know what I'm
Maltesers
saying?
or?
No.
No, magic truffles.
The thing is,
Galaxy.
apparently it's setting based, is what they said in this as well. So where you are and who you're with makes all the difference.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
if
my
I
saying
was
was
to try
terrible.
anything that's out,
So if you're in a club and you decide to fucking bosh a load of acid, you're probably gonna get fucked up. And you feel shit about it. Whereas if you're, in a field with a
gonna
load of
ruin
mates
my life
just
insurance
chilling out on a
if I
nice sunny day, you'll probably be all right.
well, I feel like if I take anything out of my comfort zone, instantly I'm worried about doing it befor I even do
Yeah.
it. So that's gonna set
But
me off in a bad way.
The fear behind these things is the fact of lack of research, lack of like kind of fear mongering in the first place.
Well, like the idea
When
of a bad
there was
trip.
the whole war on drugs, which
yeah.
that just halted any kind of real research for the positives that can come from these things. So it's a shame, really, because they are literally mind-bending drugs, and with more research, maybe that can be controlled. But
I do understand where you're coming from when you say like you're worried about, like, you don't want to touch any of it because you're worried of what it might do. And I think like say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was probably in the same state of mind. Well, not 15 years. I wasn't thinking about taking magic mushrooms at 15. But like
16.
like 19, 20, I was definitely like, oh, I'd never touch psychedelics. Like, I'd never do that. I'd never do this.
It's not like I wouldn't. It's just more I know how I react to certain things, and that when I take it, I'm going to be worried about a bad trip.
Yeah,
That's just going to be on my mind when I take it.
So I've started practicing this radical new thing of, don't worry about it, just fucking see what happens. You know, like
good to get yourself into that state of mind.
Well, yeah.
Extreme sports or like
no, yeah, exactly. Like stuff like psychedelics and things like that.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, psychedelics are not going to kill you. You know, like
well, this is the thing. Yeah,
you just kind of ride it out.
Depends if you have a crazy dream in your throat. We've all seen Black.
Oh, the Black Mirror. Well, this is the thing, exactly. And this is the kind of fear mongering that I'm talking about in terms of.
He's like,
commonly known. People,
Mm.
think that it's where it's more like everything's vibrant and a little bit more
kind of like dribbling.
Yeah.
Apparently acid just makes you laugh a lot, and
Right.
things are a little bit more intensified, and it's just the duration in which it lasts, which might be more uncomfortable for some people.
Yeah.
But,
So Drugs Lab, what Ross was talking about earlier, is a YouTube channel that's sponsored by the Dutch government, where they get really attractive Dutch people to try drugs and then talk about it in a controlled setting. Now, something that they recommend, and I think like the wider community probably does as well, trip sitters. So a trip sitter is a person who won't take a psychedelic, who will be with you whilst you're having it. So yeah, say for example, you do get the urge to throw yourself out a window, which is very rare, I will stress.
Or to just like keep you calm.
Yeah,
right?
make sure you're okay, because like, yeah,
which brings me on to the next segment. Trot, please take this, and we'll just sit there.
yeah, just
It's
watch
been
it.
in the coke this whole
It's
time.
been in the coke. How do you feel, buddy?
The wall is moving.
But yeah, I think
It's really interesting. I think.
it might just be our echo chamber or living in Bristol, but I do genuinely think that like 30-year-olds now look at drugs in a different way to how perhaps our parents might have done.
But I know people who've done them, so like I know like from their experiences and stuff and what they've said.
Never
that
again.
it's depending on where you are and stuff.
Mhm.
They've said that I got a friend who did LSD in a club and said it was fucked up. Don't do that. But he said he did the same in I think he was camping or something. He said that was a massively different experience and literally was the best thing for him.
Time, place, and moderation,
so yeah, it's very,
right?
very
pretty
interesting.
much.
But yeah, again, there is always that fear factor of like what could go wrong. But you do more damage
That's
on
why you need
a
a
night
trip
out. To be
sitter.
honest, you do more damage drinking shitloads of alcohol.
Yeah.
and people just go, yeah, but it's legal, so it's fine. I'm just gonna have like 10 pints. It's like, well, yeah, these drugs just haven't been researched properly.
Consequences of it.
And, obviously, all of them get lumped into the same category of drugs bad, A class, worst, etc.
Nothing ever good comes of excessive drinking and binging,
No.
right?
Excessive anything.
Yeah,
Excessive
excessive anything.
It's just we need to know the doses to make it a good experience.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, if you're interested, that channel is really good for it.
Nice.
You have to put subtitles on if you don't speak Dutch, though.
I do,
Obviously.
because I've
you
been
do.
experimenting with.
Of course, he plucked something in his brain and now can speak several languages.
He cut
suddenly.
cut a bit out of a Dutchman's brain and stuck it in his
That's
own.
what I don't get. Okay,
Go on.
I don't get some people that wake up in a different language.
Or like when they come back from a coma. I've heard this before.
Yeah,
where
and
somebody's
they-
come back from a coma and
they
suddenly they can
suddenly
speak
speak-
Chinese. And it's like,
Where did you pick
what's the
that?
reference point? Yeah,
Where did you pick that up?
I don't know.
Are you just absorbing information subconsciously, and you've
Yeah.
watched enough like Chinese dub movies or something like
Were you the
that?
biggest troll ever and learnt Chinese just before you got into a coma and then came out and thought, let's fucking really get these people.
Or
I'm going to screw with these doctors for a long time.
Oh,
it could well be that.
That would be
Or is it just
amazing.
like
but
a case of misunderstanding where it sounds like that language?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it
Yeah, so we
happens.
go, I think he's speaking Chinese. Going, it's got to be Chinese, doc.
Yeah, I think they probably, in the very, very, I'm sure, very rare instances when it does happen, they probably do verify it. Yeah, I can't imagine they just guess it and then
That
publish
sounds a bit French.
it. Stick that in the Lancet.
Write that down. He's speaking French. No.
Can't understand a word, mate. Speak English.
Bonjour.
His mouth is full. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh God. But yeah, like I couldn't even guess. I think memory is a fascinating thing, and I think memory is a cornerstone of whatever the hell we are.
Yeah. Shit, yeah, that was the other thing. That woman who could remember like all those numbers.
Oh, yeah.
By creating a story.
Yeah.
So there's like
Anyone can do that though.
maybe like 100
Just takes
different
effort.
numbers on a page,
Yeah.
and she created a story by this number means this.
It's
This.
boring as shit.
And it's just like,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
but it
You
clearly
can do it.
it's boring. But like ultimately, they must have something about them that they can really work with that information and process
They
it.
probably
that,
have
that
like
way,
a
and
passion
faster.
for numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like to be really into that
Just
and
that-
to be able to learn
Or
how
things,
to do it.
because
Yeah.
creating a story about what you see and you know, if you're trying to remember something specific, you create a pattern to it,
Yeah.
which is like, you know, like the ABC thing we spoke about the other day, where, you know, the alphabet has a nice, you know, song to it, so that you
there
know
is a-
that
Yeah.
alphabet.
There's a different form of memory retention to that, though. So that is, like Trott says, it's a learnable system where you tell a story, you create objects out
Visual.
of numbers,
Yeah.
because our brains work better in that way. But there is also people who have, I can't remember the name of it, it's like calendar-based memory or something like that. Essentially, you can ask them, what was the weather like, you know, Tuesday the 15th of February 2016, and they'll remember what the weather was like.
Yeah.
I've seen
That's
like
crazy.
as in
nuts.
they have these really weirdly like rich memories. I can't remember, it's got a name, but it's really interesting. It's basically they don't forget things.
Yeah. Is it the same as photographic memory, or is it something? I
Not
guess
sure.
it's
Well,
form
photographic memory is, I think, just a very strong visual memory.
Yeah.
For them, they can remember like what they were doing that day or what happened that day, and things like that. Like
facts and figures
really,
usually.
really impressive detail, which
pretty
was
cool.
really, really cool. But yeah, I mean, like, but you're right. Like learning certain things,
like Memory Palace thing, Mind Palace,
Yeah, the
that
Mind
does
Palace.
work.
Yeah.
And I guess it's easier for other people than it is for, you know, some, because imagination comes easier to them, or they have a much more visual memory, and therefore they can place themselves in a geographic location in their mind easier. But you can work on it, like for example I did, just to learn some stuff, like just to try it out. And I can walk back through my Mind Palace, which is meant to be a memorable location that you can always visualize, go through and like open up the garage,
a
and you've got this
brothel.
crazy, yeah, it's a brothel, I know the place well. But yeah, you open up the garage, and
Door
then
4. Tracy. Hello.
there's a piece of information there that I've converted into like a hot tub that's like really hot, that's excessively hot and spilling over the edge, which reminds me of Wave. And then it's like that's the first part of the password.
Mhm.
And then someone.
So you're telling us your passwords here? Is that what you're saying?
someone swimming in it as a crocodile,
But,
swimming in it.
I
So
guess-
wave croc.
I guess what ties in with that is also the importance of the information you're trying to remember. Like,
Yeah.
I can remember my pins fairly quickly
Yeah.
because I
you
know that
it's
there's
important.
that unlocks something important to me, or
That's
something
all
I need to access.
That's all remembering. If you want to remember mundane things, you imply important visuals to it to
Yeah.
make the mundane more important to your brain to
Yeah.
remember it.
And visualize
That's all it's
yourself being
doing.
absolutely devastated if you can't remember those numbers or
Yeah.
passwords. You're like, fuck.
Every password I have is a serious car crash.
A date of
It's a blue car.
mine are all whenever Diana died. That's all mine.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Princess
Love
Di.
that.
That's all I got to remember.
Dodie done it.
Dodie done it. Is the clue.
Dude,
I mean, so I
uh,
struggle when it comes to like doing fucking like authenticators and stuff. Like, oh god, shit, what was that number? Like,
Just
my
remembering
memory's
stuff.
so shit.
What, from like reading
Like the instant, yeah,
authenticator?
like the
And then-
2-minute span of me like reading that number, then going somewhere to type
you
in.
don't
like,
have time
fuck,
to-
wait, was it 843?
You don't have time to put that in the Mind Palace.
No, I don't store it anywhere important because I know I don't
got
need
30
that.
seconds to put this in
Yeah.
the garage.
Time to make a story. I
Because-
think
yeah, it's so throwaway. That's the thing.
I wish Mind Palace had a less pretentious name.
No, yeah, I just think of Sherlock Holmes going. I'm going to Mind Palace. I'm in my Mind Palace.
Yeah,
I mean,
because it is it's genuinely a very
Yeah.
useful tool. Maybe just call it your mind greenhouse
Yeah.
instead or
or
something.
whatever the location is, like my mind house,
So there's some
Mind Grotto.
mind shelter.
when I was in secondary school, people used to laugh at me because I was hilarious. No, but because I'd do stupid things like
Bring a gun into school.
I say
You idiot, you clown. Not another one.
no. I say laugh at me. People used to poke fun at me in science because I always used to try and be like really good at science. So like
Try hard.
well yeah,
Stop
that,
learning. Put your book down.
that is the nature of secondary school.
Throw away his
Yes.
pen. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be
Oh, he's
fair.
learning.
You would get, to be fair, that
So
was the thing.
I would like try and answer
weird.
the questions that the teacher would give me and all that sort of stuff. And so one time I went home and I learned the numbers for absolute zero. So absolute zero is like when
Do you remember?
temperature. Not really.
Okay.
So this is
didn't mind
another
pass.
thing.
Yeah, no
So
mind.
I learned there's like 3. So 0 degrees Kelvin is the easy one. So when something is at absolute zero, the particles in it or the atoms in it have no energy, so they're not vibrating at all, right? So everything that's above, I mean, absolute zero is something like minus 350 degrees Celsius or something like that. So it's got to be pretty fucking cold. So even really cold things still have some energy inside them bouncing around. But I learned all 3. I learned it in Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. And literally the next day that I was looking these numbers up just to like try and impress my friends or something, our chemistry teacher said, does anyone know what the temperature for absolute zero is? And I managed to rattle off all three. And I was just like, ha!
Nice.
I look like really super nerdy here.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I forgot it. But I did learn pi to like 8 digits or whatever. So like 3.1415926535. That's
Fuck.
pi to like 10
It's
digits.
a few
or
more
whatever.
digits than Trump managed.
It is. What?
Oh,
At pi? What, went for pi, did he?
There's a quote about him just getting pi completely wrong. Or
Right.
mentioning pi.
I mean, it's sort of stupid because
Man.
like
Why
using
would you
pi, like I don't measure circles
irrelevant,
ever.
yeah.
Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
but like I thought like, oh, if there's ever a pub quiz, it's like, right, if you're so smart, give me pi to like 10 digits.
it's interesting
Like,
that because obviously, yeah, like
Yeah.
the argument for like, oh, why should I do maths when I could just use my calculator on my phone? If you watch The Apprentice, which I watched recently, there is still an argument for that because holy
Depends what
shit, they were
career you end
literally.
up with.
Sorry,
Yeah. Depends on the career path you go down, I
of
guess.
course, yeah, but
well, their
like
phone's running out of battery.
no, they were just stood in front of. They were doing a meeting they were trying to buy something from
Mhm.
someone, and they just basically on the spot couldn't work out some simple maths. And holy shit, they were just none of them, and they were all refusing to use their phones. They were kind of like, oh well, do you know? What about you? And none of them like
Wanted
knew.
to get their phone
and it's just
out.
like none of them wanted to give them an incorrect like answer, so it even sounds worse.
Mm.
But it was so fucking cringy just to see people just
What
kind
was
of
the math?
struggle. I think it was just like 123 plus like 200 and something. It was basically just a plus. It was just
323.
addition. It was
Something.
yeah. It wasn't.
Something.
It wasn't anything crazy, but it's just like that's an argument for basic maths and learning it. Otherwise, just get your fucking phone out. Like
I've been trying to learn basic maths at LARP.
Okay.
So one of the best things about our currency system is it's all in tens, right? It's a decimal system. So it's 10, 10p, 10 times 10 is a pound, all that sort of shit. 10 times 10 pounds is 10 pounds. No, it's not. 10 times 10 pounds is 100. But in
your phone out.
LARP, I play the financial game a lot, so I'm always like dealing with money. That system goes 20 rings to a crown, 8 crowns to a throne, right?
Right, okay.
So it's
820.
28 to 1, right? And so you're trying to do maths and you're
you're like okay,
okay, so that's
1 crown.
That's 7 crowns, 15 rings, and like
just the conversion rate. I mean, converting anything is still like
it's
annoying.
infuriating.
But
But that's a good workout. And also, I've sort of got it down now. I can do most of it in my head, but it's totally fucking useless.
Outside of that, yeah, it is useless.
But talking about memory, I do have maybe not a funny story, but it is still kind of bizarre. So this mum of 44 kids banned from having any more children.
44.
So she has 44 kids. I mean, do you think she remembers all their fucking names?
Probably
because-
not, right?
Yeah, she'll remember their names, but like some of them have got to be old.
44. Yeah, true.
I mean, how many twins is she having? Because she
That's
doesn't
a
look
good
that
point.
old there, and that's a lot of kids already. Or have they just got a random stock photo of a family in Africa? Because you never
So
know.
There
do
is
you?
that
Mariam Nabatanzi
Yeah.
from Uganda was married off at the age of 12 and gave birth to her first set of twins a year after that.
First set
Oh.
of twins.
At
Jesus.
13. Oh, fuck.
It's pretty rough.
That is rough. The 39-year-old woman was it's a sob story here. She was abandoned, etc., and has been supporting her surviving 38 children alone. Surviving.
She lives
this
in
is-
in
this
4
isn't funny
cramped
news.
houses
This
with
is
her
just
children in
a
a
weird
village
news
surrounded
story.
by coffee fields. Doctors have now banned Nabatanzi from having any more children.
Wow.
What was the cutoff? Because I think if you get in the tens, you should start dishing out a couple of bands here and there. Maybe if they're just...
They
it's
may
just
not have known.
40.
Sorry, she had unusually large ovaries. She was advised that birth control could have led to health issues.
Okay.
Hyperovulate.
So
Releasing multiple eggs in one cycle. Significantly increase the chance of having multiple births.
it's
That's
always
insane.
genetic, says the doctor. That's amazing.
God.
She's like a queen ant.
Yeah, but it's really not a positive.
I mean, not in this scenario, no.
No.
But there are plenty of people out there who might, want kids.
10 plus. 10 plus kids.
Well, no, I don't think anyone should have any more than 3. I mean, if I had my way, people would have like 2.
We see they
max.
recently raised the China limit to 2.
Oh, I thought that happened ages ago.
It happened, it's 2016, I think.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. So previously it was 1, but this was on a John Oliver episode. It's pretty interesting, actually. But the issue is, they're all single. They obviously all single children, and I think there was a huge imbalance between female and male.
Yeah.
So there are a lot more men than there are women,
Right.
and so it's also feeding into the human trafficking.
Well, because
because-
I don't know.
Then now
whether it's
women
the
have
case
become
now.
this kind of precious jewel for all these,
Well, because men were prized. That's the thing. They
Yeah.
wanted
Obviously, yeah, so
male
they would have
children.
bought,
So there
female.
were stories of like people chucking their female kids down wells
Literally,
and all
yeah.
this sort of stuff, like
Shocking.
killing their daughters. But now, there is this massive imbalance to male to female.
So now they're desperately trying to get people to have 2 kids, and there's probably some laws
But
on
what
the
if they both
abortion
come out
laws as well.
male?
Well, yeah.
Well, you haven't helped it, have you? You haven't helped the problem.
I mean, yeah. Who knows if they'll start literally saying you have to have at least one female.
I
Who
think
knows?
population control's a great idea. Like, I think that, like,
I mean,
why? Like, sure, you're as an individual.
this clearly wasn't something they thought about, though, isn't it?
Well, no.
They never expected there to be an imbalance, and then for it to cause
Yeah.
a huge issue with various other aspects of their economy and
Yeah.
politics and stuff.
It's a difficult subject to get into without all the facts, right?
It is.
Yeah, like
But
many things we discussed.
But I don't want to go into this too deeply, but can you really think of a reason why limiting people to having 2 kids is that bad?
If you have 4,
And how good it is for
Well,
the
no-
planet to only have 2 kids.
The issue was that they were having to. So people who had accidental pregnancies were having to have forced abortions, or if they had a kid in its late stage, then their kid was either taken away.
So I'm not saying militarily enforce it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm not for like abortions when things go wrong. I'm just saying that if you said to
Yeah.
people like, please try and have just 2 kids, like because like I think that having a shit ton of kids and then not raising them well is quite selfish.
It's yeah.
what if you have 4 kids that's raised really well?
That's
then you
great,
have
isn't
4
it? Well,
more
that's a
like
good excuse for it. But like,
potential neuroscientists or like
Yes,
people in the world.
but I think that's a bit of a gamble. I don't think that all 4 kids are necessarily always going to be raised that well.
Maybe you have to do like a test, like GCSE.
See, now that is more fucked up, I think, than me suggesting 2.
All right. Well, you have to do a parent test.
Yeah,
For your living conditions, kind of like social
yeah,
workers do, and like even if you have a dog from a shelter,
yeah,
they check your environment to make sure it's
Yeah.
suitable for that pet.
yeah.
Same thing for parents.
For parents who want to have
and then
kids.
based on your score is how many kids you can have.
I suppose that is a good counter argument to, like, it's like, well, social services will come by and check your house is okay before you can adopt a child, right? Why not having a kid?
Yeah.
I think
did
that's
you
an
say
interesting idea.
did you say test to parents?
Yeah. Potential
Um,
parents. But then
I don't know. I think that's
you have
yeah.
like a other box, which you always do in surveys, which is like any other comments. I'd request 4 because you need 4 to lift a parasol.
What? No, you don't. A parasol. What, like an umbrella that goes like this?
A full... No, to be carried around.
to be,
Oh, a
wants to be-
parasol.
you want to
Palladium?
carry you around?
Palanquin.
Palanquin.
Okay. Well, so is this you being lifted up by
My children.
your children? Okay.
I mean, that's a great
That's
use for it.
it's a dream.
I mean, if you got rid of your car, then
You
I'd let
imagine your
that,
children
I'd let that
slaves
fly.
in some way. Is that
Huh?
your personal slaves? Are your kids in this
And
way?
I'm
or
a
they're-
personal trainer.
Sure. You're like
Those
This
are some
is-
strong kids. He's
strong
been lifting
kids.
me since he was 4.
yeah, just refuses
It's
to
good
buy
for
a
them.
car.
It
Yeah.
teaches them, to work together
Yeah.
to lift me, and keeps them exercised.
Yeah,
It's
it's
an
great.
interesting idea.
It's a great concept.
Then I judge the kids and put the best ones at the front, so I can talk to them, and the ones that are not doing so good.
The poor conversationalists.
Oh,
Get
man.
it back.
So smart kids, what do you think? Hello, Igor. Master, I'm doing 2.
Keep it up, Igor, at the back.
Igor, I've told you, call me father, not master. It looks really weird in public. Sorry, master.
I passed the parent survey. Got 4 kids.
Parents obviously
Alan
never
Quinn.
say they have favourites, but they must have favourites. Surely.
Absolutely.
They,
They
must
just
have.
don't
They just
say.
would never say.
They just don't
Um,
say. And I bet it kind of differs, like...
Whichever
you
one's
only-
had more an impact on their free time.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever's been less of a
Back to
ball
the
ache.
school again. What for this time?
It's got to fluctuate as well, right? Because, like, you can be terrible in your 2s,
Yeah.
but then you turn into a very well-rounded teenager, but then
Yeah.
you become a shithead.
Yeah, I had a
adult.
cousin like that. I think I've spoken about him numerous times,
Yeah.
but like I now get on great with my cousin. Him
Yeah.
growing up, he was literally like a devil child. Like he was like the biggest pain
The
in the ass.
devil.
I had to take a switch to his legs once.
A switch.
Well, it wasn't a switch. It was a bamboo stick that I stole out of my grandma's garden. You know when they used like you know those bamboo canes.
It's time.
Well, he was really irritating me. Like he was. Bear in mind, I was
He
about.
pushed his luck.
I think I was about 13 at the time.
Yeah.
All right, so old enough to know better, but not old enough to be arrested for it.
Sure.
I got a bamboo cane that my grandparents were growing like sweet peas around, or like poppies or some shit.
Yeah.
Because he kept on coming up and kicking me in the shin. Like he had literally come up and go. He was probably about 10 at the time, I imagine.
right.
Right.
And I was a few years older than him. I was just like, stop it. So I pulled this thing out of the ground, whoop, straight on the back of the legs, chasing around the garden with it. It was brilliant.
Back of the legs.
And now he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I think I had a big part of that.
You learned him.
Yeah, I learned
You
him
learned
good.
him good.
Every so often, when we're having a great chat, being best buds, having
Yeah.
a drink, and he starts to get out of hand, I just pull that fucking bamboo cane out.
Just
and I'm like,
you've got it on the wall.
yeah.
There it
So
is.
for that
Point to it on
scenario
the wall.
part of the parent survey,
Yep.
where you have to discipline,
Yeah.
you can put that story in. I think you get a pass.
I think I would be a strong disciplinarian, but I also probably spoil the shit out of them as well, Like my dad bought me a PlayStation when I was like 13 or whatever.
I think spoiling is worse. I don't like that.
But it was amazing. I
quite-
still remember getting a PlayStation
Yeah.
now, like, oh my god, this is so awesome.
Well, yeah,
You know,
sure,
like-
when
but-
you get that, but you,
It was
I
a
guess
birthday
not
present or
to
something, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you got it on a random
Just
Tuesday
frivolous.
because
Well,
your dad was like,
actually-
"Oh, I'm gonna just spend
or because you've
300
been
quid on my
thrown
kid."
out and this would calm you down.
So the PlayStation had come out like recently. It was like the first big console release, like next gen. Like when we started using discs properly rather than the Saturn. It's like right, this is
so
a disc only.
PS1, yeah.
This is a PS1,
That's the first one. Yeah.
and he brought it back from London, and I was like, he's like, oh, I got your PlayStation. I didn't really know what a PlayStation
I think he bought it for.
was.
Did he buy it for himself? Is it one of those things where he
No,
bought it for you? But
I think he was
wanted to play
interested
on
to
it?
see its like role as a new thing because he's always liked tech, but
Yeah.
no, he never played in it. Well, he occasionally played something like a rally game or something like that, But
Yeah.
apart from that,
Yeah.
but I think that's a really cool thing to do for your kids once in a while.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
That's the
But I think
thing,
there's that risk of
Spoiling is when
warping
you're
their
excessively-
worldview to a degree. Of
Oh,
how
yeah.
easy it is to attain certain things when you have to work for these things. in
Do you
reality.
think it's worth? I know we only got it's already
we've-
over. Do you think it's worth living in a shithole to make your kids appreciate things improving?
It's interesting because obviously you're trying to better yourself in your personal life, but then if you have kids,
If it's too good for you, and then you have kids.
I don't think that should directly affect the way you teach your kids. I don't know, morals and
Value.
and a work ethic.
I'm
and
gonna
stuff.
make them kiss the granite kitchen work surface.
I thought you were gonna say just make him kiss.
I didn't know where that
No.
was going. Then.
the granite work surface because of
Yeah.
how much that cost and how they should appreciate
It's more about
that.
doing like I guess you would
I don't
encourage.
have one.
That's where chores coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
As much as we all fucking hate chores, the whole point of that was to teach you that you can't
You have
just
to earn.
get this really nice meal or something if you don't wash up or if you
Yeah.
don't do this and this.
Like I think
but
it's
I'm gonna have
important to
a
make a
room
distinction between cost of something and the quality of
Yeah.
something. So granite worktops obviously are very useful. They're very strong. They look nice. They are very durable.
Yeah, try selling one to a 3-year-old.
But like you can teach that to your kids that like these are good
They
things.
don't
Like
care.
treat them with respect. They're made well.
Yeah.
But you don't go to them like this cost me 20 grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
This cost me a whole year at private school for you.
Look
You
at
know?
it.
You don't want to do that.
No,
do
of course
you?
not.
Like,
I mean, and I don't think that would come up. It's more of a case.
I've got a conservatory.
Yeah.
You
It's
know
more
how
a
much
case
that
of not
costs
just going
on the
"Look,
market.
let them have a free for all and go. Here's a credit card. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where it's like when you don't have that kind of work ethic,
And
I
it's
think
usually
it
as a result of
ruins your mind.
the bad reinforcements when they're just giving you shit, and just to calm them down, you give them something to like distract them.
Yeah.
Essentially,
It's like,
what
just
like
take £10 and get out of the house. and
iPad
just-
parenting now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like where it's just here's an iPad, just fuck it, and then
It stops them
what's
crying.
on YouTube? Oh my god, I didn't
I
even
can
know because I didn't
understand.
check because
It's
I'm a
like-
shit parent.
You drown. It's easy for us to say because you're not
Exactly.
kept awake every fucking night.
Yeah, of course.
From
There's so many
screaming
other
and
factors.
crying.
Yeah, it's easy for us to say it because none of us have ever had kids.
Yeah.
No.
Parenting advice
what you
from
think.
3 white
Definitely.
guys
And
who've
then-
never had kids.
In all honesty, yeah, that would be so tempting to just go, here you go, that's going to entertain you, etc.
And
Sure,
when you
but-
take it away, then they're crying and crying and
Yeah.
hours on end. You can see how that creates a habit, right? Where it's like, I know as soon as I do this, it's
Yeah.
going to pacify them.
Yeah. What's up with your dog?
We don't have the
Same
answers
sort of
for
thing,
that
right?
Yeah.
ourselves.
Like,
Oh, is it? Yeah.
You probably, I mean, not
Loves the
saying you
iPad.
do that. but
Loves
you
the
could,
iPad.
You could do that. Fucking Mochi on those.
She's a hacker now.
She's great.
Speaking of which, we've got a new sketch out
Yeah.
where she is hacking.
Yeah, well, it's kind of spoiled it there, but
Sorry,
Yeah,
Trott
there's
is
the-
hacking.
Trott is hacking.
And Mochi is there.
yeah.
Trott's moving her
Redeemed.
arms.
But that was really fun to make, though. That was we
Yeah.
got opportunity to do some sketches thanks
check
to
out our YouTube
Asa
channel.
and stuff.
But
And
that's pretty much it. That's all we have
Yeah.
time. We could keep going.
Oh, we also
could.
have a Pornhub style T-shirt.
Yes.
Which just says Hat Films, but it's a Pornhub logo.
Pretty
It's
much,
done
yeah.
so well. We've done a restock.
I think so.
There's more stock available.
Yeah.
So please check out our store. page, which is
I think you could store.yogscast.com/hatfilms will
that will
link you to
redirect
it.
you to the right page.
And essentially, yeah, if you are interested in getting it, grab it soon because otherwise they won't restock them.
This is the
you'll
last
be the one
restock.
emailing us randomly saying, "Can you please restock this one thing from 2 years
I've
ago?"
had to make my own T-shirt because I live in Whitehorse in the Yukon.
Someone did that, didn't they?
Yeah, but they live in Australia, I think.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
I'm really happy with the new quality of the t-shirts.
Yeah.
Like they've changed the t-shirt style.
Mhm.
It's really nice and smooth now. It's awesome.
It's 100% cotton.
100% cotton.
It's lovely. Last thing we do is thank all the people who have supported us on Patreon. You are literally lifting us up.
On
You're
a
ascending
palanquin.
us. You are holding us up on a palanquin. There
Or a
we are.
parasol.
We are balancing on top of your crowd surfing. So thank you for supporting us. You can send us your questions and fingals to hatchat@hatch-films.com.
Somewhere around here.
Which I know is a mouthful, but that's the link right there. So send that stuff in. We do want I'm still looking for the fingal with the water with
The
the
glass
bottles,
bowls.
glass bowls. So
And,
bring that to us.
As always, the Patreons are credited at the end of our YouTube video
Yes.
and our VOD, which is available on YouTube. Just
Yes.
search for the Hat Chat podcast.
I think
and
it's
subscribe.
youtube.com/hatchat we've got now. That's lovely,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's nice and simple. And thanks for watching.
Yes.
We'll see you all next time in
See
the
you
next
next one.
podcast. Sorry.
Bye.